Welcome to Relatable Wisdom, where everyday people share the quotes that guided them through life's ups and downs, offering wisdom you can actually use in your daily journey. Today, I'm sitting down with David Beckemeyer, host of the Outrage Overload podcast and someone who's made his mission to build bridges in our divided world. David has this rare gift of finding common ground where others see only conflict, and he's dedicated his work to helping us all have better, more meaningful conversations. So let's settle in and discover the words that have shaped David's approach to healing our fractured discourse. Tell us your name and what you do, David.
Hi, everybody. I'm David Beckemeyer. Formerly, I was in tech for quite a number of years in Silicon Valley, and now I am retired from that world, and I have a podcast called Outrage Overload, where we talk about toxic polarization and news media and news literacy and, and how we can maybe lower the temperature out there in the political environment.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for being on the podcast, David.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It sounds like a fun little story.
Yeah. What's your favorite quote?
Well, so one that really stuck with me, and it's got one of the reasons is because it's got a little story about it. But my father-in-law, it comes from my father-in-law, and it's got sort of an aspect, kind of accidental, I think, of kind of stoic wisdom and kind of it's just some sort of Yoda-like aspects to it. And I was, kind of a young man trying to figure things out. And I didn't even know my father-in-law that well at that time, but I was like struggling and just asking like, hey, you've had 5 kids and, like all this going on. How did you do it kind of thing, right? And I don't think he really thought about it. And I'm sure this didn't really even stick with him. And in the sense that like for him, it probably was not an important thing, but it like really stuck with me. He just said, what do you mean how? You just do it. And that has kind of stuck with me all these years, it's kind of a little motto, a little something to think about. Like, yeah, what do you mean how? You just do it.
Wait. The quote is, "What do you mean how? You just do it."
Yeah, kind of a Yoda-ish, right? Kind of like Yoda.
What do you mean how? You just do it. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that's like a really, really powerful quote, because a lot of the time people want to do something they've never done in their life. And they're like, well, I've never done this thing in my life. I don't know what to do. I don't have the experience. And for most of the things, not all the things, for most of the things, you learn how to do it by doing it terribly wrong the first time. And then you're like, oh, this is how not to do it. And say, okay, so let's try this other way. We did the first time this way, it didn't work out. And so let's do this other way. And eventually you figure out what you're doing. But these things won't happen if you don't even do it in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could kind of interpret it and look at it. But yeah, for sure, and I think it has that kind of action first kind of mentality to it, right? Like you say, you could overthink things forever and never do anything, right? And I am a little bit that way anyway. I mean, I can be that way, so I have to kind of force myself not to be that way. So I mean, it's a good sort of motto to turn back to, right? Like, you don't want to get forever doing the over analysis and sure, it's good to do research. You could probably try to understand what you're getting into, but yeah, you could easily overdo that and just never take the first step. Because no matter how much research you're going to do, you're not going to know enough to know how to do it right from the start, right?
Yeah. Like, I need to research. 6 months in, you're still doing research. 1 year in, you're still doing research. And I'm like, what's going on? Even the people that are building rockets that cost millions of dollars, they still burn rockets. They still try to send rockets. And some of them explode and they learn, they improve. But you're just trying to do something it's not like, it's not the amount of money. It's not that big. I mean, if you fail, you learn, you move on.
Right. Well, and no matter how much you research, you still have a chance of failing anyway, right? I mean, there's so many things you don't know kind of stuff. And, and also I think if you have that attitude of, it's got to happen, like this has got to happen, then you'll sort of make it happen. Like you'll have to do the things that have to happen to make it happen. Like if you've run into obstacles, you'll have to overcome those obstacles. And I think if you go in this attitude, well, I just need to research more, I need to think about it some more, or I don't think I'm doing it quite right, so I'm going to stop and pause and start over. It's like, if this thing has to be done, you pretty much do it.
Yeah, I feel when I think there's a quote that when there's a will, there's a way, right? Sometimes the reason why there is no way is because there is no will in the first place. So we're just trying to cover up that and by saying, oh, there's no way we could do this. This thing is hard, this is up like that. And I'm like, do you really want to do this? Like, do you, it's not like, oh, I said I want to do it. Like, is this like crazy desire? Like, do you want it as much as you want bread? Just say.
And sometimes you almost need that naivete a little bit. Like as we get older and we know everything's kind of dangerous and everything's kind of hard and like we've been there before. I mean, I think we can get more tentative to jump into things, right? Because we kind of know it's going to be hard. Like, and sometimes you just need that naivete to just like dive in with both feet, then figure out, oh wait, this is way harder than I thought. But now I'm here, I got to swim.
Yeah, yes, yeah, so true. Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean how? Just do it. What do you mean how? Just do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because yeah, back to has there been a time where, looking back, you're like, oh, at the point in time, at the instant, it made sense that, oh, I need to figure out a how, right? It wasn't like, oh, just do it. No, I need to figure out the how. But in retrospect, looking back, you're like, oh, there wasn't really a need to figure out the how. I might as well have just done it, and I would have still found out the way of doing it by doing it. Are there instances like that in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think many of them were sort of accidental because, like I say, once you finally commit to start doing something, you're always going to discover new things that you didn't, weren't in the research you did, or weren't, in what you thought you learned, or weren't on the YouTube video that you watched, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to discover this real stuff that's like, oh wait, no one showed me this thing that could happen. So, I mean, I think sometimes it's accidental, and it's making that commitment to get started, and like I say, if it's one of those things that kind of has to happen, and you just have to muscle through somehow, like you just find a way. I think that's a piece of what he's saying too, is that it's not like he's a deep thinker and a philosophical thinker. I mean, this is just like a simple approach, but I mean, I think you can apply all those things to it, because I think it is a pretty philosophical thing to say, right? And so I mean, I think a piece of it is that you if it's got to happen, you've got to find a way, and you may not know what that way is when you start this project. You may think like, I'm going to do this. Oh, wait, world throws me this curveball. World throws me that curveball. So I think that's part of it, is just realizing things are never going to be preset. Like it never works the way you want. Like all these things happen that were in the plan.
Yeah. The thing about plans is that sometimes people forget about the mission, forget about the reason why they came up with the plan in the first place. And then the plan becomes the mission. And so when the plan goes wrong, they're like, oh, what am I supposed to do? I can't do anything. And I'm like, no, the plan is not the mission. The mission still stands, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to think of it, right? That it is easy for that to happen, right? Where suddenly the plan becomes the mission. Like, wait, no, this wasn't, like, the plan was just supposed to be the plan to get the mission done. And you can fall into that where it's like, wait, we must do step 7. But step 7 isn't helping us get there. So we got to stop doing step 7. It's not helping.
Yes, I know. Follow the plan. You have to follow the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, but you need to understand what the people who wrote the plan they were thinking when they wrote the plan. No, they can't be make and I think it's one of the things about the Constitution, right? I know now we're going to government and politics, but I just want to use to illustrate the point is the fact that for the Constitution, it's written in a way that the people that are writing it, they know that they don't have it all figured out. That there is chance for improvement. That in the future, people would know better, people would think better, and so they can add more to the Constitution. They can adjust it. They can put things and do things in the Constitution. In life, that's the way it is, right? It's not like right now I might be saying that this is what it is, but maybe 1 year from now, I realize that how come I had such a silly mindset and silly perspective. Man, I can't believe I was the one that was saying that nonsense. And I'm like, and then 3 years
Right.
later, I'm like, dude, what's going on? Right?
Yeah. I mean, if your plan included, sort of rotary phones and, these different technologies, then you got to update those plans at some point.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, so you're like, okay, my plan is to make money and make it legitly, make it doing legal stuff, right? Okay, my plan is to make money doing legal stuff. Okay, so what do I need to invest in? Okay, rotary funds. Okay, but now that there are no rotary funds, what else could I invest in? Right, so it's easier for you to make decisions. But if you're like, okay, my plan is to make money, but to make it legally, and then you're like, oh, the cartel, they need some funds, they need some investors. I'm like, nah, not interested. Well, you could make a lot of money in that. Nah. Don't worry. I lost that pattern. I don't want to make money again.
Well, this is that, there's kind of a business adage about this. I don't remember the sort of technical term for it, but there's kind of this idea that when you get so good at a thing, especially if you've got your company really tuned around that thing, it makes it much harder, when these changes to the environment happen, these changes to the landscape happen, because you're so good at that one thing. Like, you can't stop doing it. You're so married to it. Like, it's almost like learning Photoshop. Like, once you learn Photoshop, you've got so much invested in it. I don't want to learn anything else because that was too much work. I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah. Something similar to it, but it's not exactly what you just described. I think they call it the sinking cost, right? It happens to a
Oh,
lot of
right.
persons
Yeah.
where you spend, let's say, $500, $1,000 in this project or this stuff, and you know that this stuff is going to be disastrous. Like, it's not like, oh, this is not self-doubt. You've seen the signs, and instead of you to just stop the project and do something else, you're like, we spent so much money, we might as well just keep going. And you're like, and the same thing, I've spent so much time, I might as well just keep going. And you're like, no, this is not quitting or giving up. This is just end the project, kill it, and move on and do something else.
Yeah, it's kind of like you see people doing that, like with gambling, right? I put so much money in this slot machine. I just got to keep going. It's going to pay off.
It's a payoff. You just be patient with me.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to walk away.
Sometimes you have to know when to walk away. You have to know when to, like, hold on. How did the country musician sing the song? You have to know when to walk. Yeah, something like that.
When to hold them, when to fold them, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You have to know how to go. And the quotes, like, it reminds me, because most of the quotes that my guests share on the podcast, it reminds me of, occurrences that have happened in my own life. And I feel like most of these quotes, they are our favorite quotes because they've had lived experience with us, right? In your own case, they are your favorite quotes, right? And I'll give an example story, and I'd also love that you share a story with me, just so it can help crystallize your idea in the mind of my listeners. And recently, I had someone say that they've tried everything, right? And for me, that was a very big and a bold statement to make. Because for you to say I've tried everything, it means that you literally have. When Thomas Edison tried to make a light bulb, so number of times, some people say it's 1,000, some say 10,000. However many times he tried to make the light bulb, he had documented proof of the things he tried. So it was like, we did this. I think there's one time he tried liner. We did this. We did this. It did not work. It did not work. So he had all this proof that these things did not work. And so a lot of persons, they tell you that, oh, I've tried everything. And I'm like, oh, what did you try? Oh, I tried this one. Just three. And I'm like, how come three? Three is not everything. There are over 10,000 things you could have done. Why would you say you've tried everything, right? And because in that regards, when you say you've tried everything, there's no blame on you that, oh, I didn't do what I need to do. It's now, oh, it's on the system. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It works for everybody, but it doesn't work for me. And so you're like, oh yeah, I tried everything. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I mean, I think you see a lot of that, and you can fall. It's easy to fall into that because it's like, yeah, sometimes it feels that way. But I used to help. When I was sort of in the tech world. I would consult with startups and tech startups, and and a big piece of that is trying to kind of, especially these smart startups that need fairly significant funding. It's kind of the fundraising side, and it's just like they fall into so easily the kind of myths about that you just sort of put some numbers on a napkin and some people write you a check and this kind of stuff, and it's just not the way it works. And and a lot of the companies that are out there kind of perpetuate that myth because they don't want to tell you like the reality that they got turned down like so many times and had so many bad ideas along the way, and they got rejected and this kind of stuff. so much. They kind of want to sell this story. My idea was so great, like everyone wanted it right away, and this kind of stuff. And most of the time, those stories are made up, right? It's kind of a mythology that floats around, so everybody thinks, oh, it was so viral and so great.
Uh,
But the reality is so different than that, right? And so you have to. It takes so much tenacity, right? Because you're gonna, it's maybe it's like dating, right? I mean, you're gonna get rejected a lot. It's like you just have to keep asking, right? I mean, you just keep going,
yeah,
and you keep
yeah.
changing your pitch and your business model, and you have to be not afraid. And you got to find that balance between sort of sticking with something you think's really important about it, and it's fundamental in some way to you, and also deciding what you can let go of, and other things you can try, and those are really, it can be really hard because both those stories have some grain of truth to them, right? I mean, the idea of sticking to your guns is valid. But if you sort of stick to your gun, if you've been told that many times no with this idea, you might need to rethink that idea a little bit, or at least reevaluate aspects of it and see maybe this idea is not as good as I thought it was, or maybe there's something else going on. And it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to look at yourself, look at your team, look at something else that you're telling in your story that could be what's making this not fly. But even a good story ultimately is only the good story to the right person that hears it at the right time, who can then in turn sell it, to their partners and make the whole thing happen. There's a lot of pieces that can go wrong between, sort of your first meeting and finally closing a deal and raising funds. So, and I think that's an aspect of that too, that somewhere along that path, it's pretty easy to say there's something wrong with the system. Like I have a brilliant idea and they just don't see it.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. I think earlier on we mentioned the mission and all that stuff. It's important we know, okay, what am I trying to do? Okay, and this is how I'm trying to do it, right? I'll give an example. If my goal is to start a business, right? Okay, why am I starting a business? Oh, it's so I can be financially free. And so I can do this. Everybody has their reasons for starting a business, right? And it influences the kind of business they do in the first place. It influences the kind of place and all those decisions, right? But then I start a business. Let's say I start what business has been kicked out by AI, for example. Let's say it's a copy and paste micro work business, right? Where people copy and paste, and I outsource the work. I have a lot of people copy and paste things for me, and I get paid. But now there's AI. There's a lot of stuff for copy and paste, and I'm like, I'm trying to stick to it. As, oh, this stuff still works, and I'm like, it doesn't really work. But if my goal is to be in business, then I need to ask myself, okay, what's the next problem I could solve that people need? Because as much as people keep telling us that, oh, AI is going to chase out humans and all that stuff, and one of the things I always remember and I keep holding on to is that every solution creates a problem. And so if if this solution, which is AI, it has its own problem which would need solving, and that will be a business and that will be work.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
even just already think about all the businesses opportunities out there about cooling data centers and powering data centers and
Yeah.
building data centers, and all these, that kind of stuff is all out there. Whole new technologies are going to have to be
Yeah.
developed if they want to run these gigantic AI systems. So yeah, there's all kinds of opportunities there. And I was curious, is that one of your mottos? Every solution creates a problem.
No, that's business. That's for business. That's what the days when I'm like, okay, okay, this new trend is coming. Okay, would it cut that stuff? I'm like, oh yeah, this trend, if it comes out, even if it's going to challenge this thing I'm doing, I know that there will be problems that will need to be solved in this industry. So it's not like, oh, life motto. It's more like, oh, business. How do I make more money and trends and all those things? It's not. No, that's not my.
Yeah, I mean, I used to talk to people about similar things. It's like, who wins from this new thing that's happening, or this trend that's happening, right? Who wins and who
Yeah.
loses, and then figure
Yeah.
out what are those opportunities around those winners and losers.
Yeah, I think you have to be pretty mobile so that you're asking yourself, where do I need to be at the table? I mean, the table has turned. Okay, I need to shift. Right, so we're still at the table, but you're like, I need to change my seats. That place is too close to the sun. Let me stay
Yeah,
where there's
yeah,
fresh air. Yeah, we're still
yeah,
at the table, right? A lot of persons, they leave the table entirely. And that's not what we don't want to do that. We want to always be at the table. But we just want to be changing our seats, so once in a while.
yeah. That's a great way to think of it. Yeah, looking at that bigger picture of what's all happening here, and kind of what does this flow look like, and where are there opportunities for me? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like before the mobile phone, there was no like the mobile phone. It's removed a lot of jobs, but it also created a lot of jobs. Like if it gets bad, some people will fix it. The spare parts, people sell it, people produce it. So many industries, the apps in it, people are making crazy amount of money just by creating and coding apps for mobile phone. These are industries that they were never there before. Like before the mobile phone, there was nothing like apps. Like there was nothing like that. But yeah, now you have people, businesses, like big corporations that all they do is make apps for the mobile phones. But then there were other corporations too who they were there, they did stuff and other things that, the phones challenged, but they could have moved. That's the thing about, I think that's the privilege about being a small business, is that you're flexible. I mean, you don't have the big players funds, but you can easily make decisions that will take 6 months to make. You can make it in, let's say, in a week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's not, what do you mean how? Just do it. Yeah. The thing about doing it is that you get data points quickly, and you can easily move on, because all decision is prediction. You understand, when I say, what should we do now, this is what we should do now, it's like, okay, I predict that if I do this based on what other people have done, that this will be the outcome, so let me do this. But sometimes you do it and you realize, no, that's not the outcome. This is something else. And the earlier you do it, the faster you can easily see what is and what is not, and you can move on.
Well, it's interesting too. Yeah, this was something that I picked up this many years ago, long before this was said. But I mean, it's almost like a little bit like the move fast and break stuff kind of thing, right? Kind of a version
Yeah,
of that
yeah,
almost.
yeah. I feel like most of the decisions people try to make, they are not like, I think Jeff Bezos says that there's the door A and door B decisions. Most of the decisions people carry on their mind for most of the time, they are door B decisions. They are decisions that are reversible, right? If you do this thing, if it doesn't work out, it's not a big thing. It's not a life-defining moment, right? And so an example of a life-defining decision is choosing to give birth to a child. Say, oh, I want to have kids. I want to raise kids. These are things that once you've gone there, you can't like say, oh, I don't want kids anymore.
Yeah.
You right? But it's like, okay, I want to start a business, and you test the idea, you put it out there. Oh, I have a business and stuff like that. If it doesn't work, you close shop, you move on, like not straight up, right? So most of the decisions, they're not really that big. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You move on.
Right. Career changes, all that stuff. Like we always think it's kind of
Yeah,
life or death, but I think people are
yeah,
coming around to the reality that this is not the world. That world is not the world we live in anymore, right? I mean, there's no loyalty to you. There's not as much loyalty to the company anymore, right? I mean,
yeah,
I'm not saying cheat on your company or whatever, but I'm just saying that idea of I go to one company when I'm 17 and I stay there until I retire is kind of not a reality anymore.
yeah. I mean, that's another another topic for another day. Yeah. Job security, and like quotes unquote, my job is
Right.
secure. I'm like, there's no security anyway.
No. And it
There
works
is
both
not.
ways, right? I mean,
Yeah. It's the irony. I was like, oh, I love to have a job because it's. I'm like, there's nothing anywhere. You just have to. Well, what can I say? Thank you so much, David. It's been an absolute delight chatting with you. Thank you for just reminding us that. What do you mean? How? Just do it.
well, thank you. I really, really enjoyed being here
Yeah.
and getting
Okay.
a chance to speak with you.
Where can my listeners learn more about you and what you do?
All of my info is at a website called outrageoverload.net, and you can get my contact info there. I'm always, looking to hear from people. My email is on there, and Twitter and all that good stuff, and Instagram and everything. But my email is probably the easiest way to get hold of me. I love hearing from people. One of my little projects I'm working on now is I'm working on something called Outrage Autopsy. So if you find a comment that maybe you saw online somewhere or something, send it to me, give me the context, and we'll do a little autopsy on that comment and teach you a little bit about it and what's happening, what techniques are being used, and what rhetorical
Uh,
devices, what logical fallacies, and how not to
uh,
get too
that,
upset about it.
that is such an interesting episode. More like series ideas. I love that. I might steal that for the nature of my own show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
nice thing
Wow.
about it is it's pretty easy. Like it's pretty easy to cut and paste a comment, right?
Yeah, but then there's a story and behind it, and it leads to who. It's really entertaining and also educative, and yeah, it's different from the regular format where like, oh yeah, how to do this, how to discover an outrage comment. Nah, boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, David. For this is like the second time I'm talking to you, so now the face has been crystallized in my head. So when I see you, I'm like, yeah, we did talk.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.